All right, so this is going to be a video about how to avoid accidents while you're driving. One of the main things that you need to pay attention to, you really need to pay attention to the areas where you're weakest at. Like if you're not a good merger and you have close calls or you just feel really nervous while you're doing it, don't just be like, okay, well, I got on the highway, so, and I normally make it, so it's cool, and just go on with your day like, nothing's wrong. You need to correct the problem before you ever get into an accident. If you feel like you're even slightly weak in one area, you need to be thinking about that, getting better at that every day. Like, don't just think, okay, well, I haven't gotten in an accident, so I don't really need to. Getting in an accident isn't going to be the proof that you're bad at something. Like, just anything that happens, any close calls or any moments of anxiety, that's enough to be like, okay, focus on that. Um, One of the key areas, like if you live in a real busy area, one of the things that you need to do when you start driving for Uber is, instead of just driving like how you drive, like normally, you need to be over like overly attentive to the signs of the road. If you drive to work every day or whatever, and you get like into a zone where you don't really pay attention to it. When I'm saying work, I'm not talking about Uber anymore. I'm talking about before you started driving for Uber and you would drive to work every day. It's like you drive the same route, you know all the turns, you know every bump in the road. So you get to the point where you don't really pay attention to the signs as much as you would, and you don't even realize that, because it's just, what I'm saying, you know that everything so well that it's like it's subconscious. It becomes like, even driving there becomes subconscious. Like sometimes you can drive the same route so much that it's like you get home and then you're like, forget like how that you even drove. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, dang, you know what I mean? I'm already home. You forget like part of the route and all that type of stuff. Not how to get through the route, but you can't remember each turn because you do it so much that it doesn't stick out enough to you to remember it. So it's like you get into that zone where you don't pay attention to everything. And then you start driving for Uber and you think that you're a good driver because you haven't been in an accident, or you haven't been in an accident in years. And then you bring that habit, and next thing you know, you're in an accident because you're not paying attention to all the signs and everything. You're not alert. Um, Also, like, just merging. Everybody's kind of like weak at merging, just because I wouldn't say everybody's weak at merging, but it's like that's one of the most dangerous areas for anybody who's on the road, because some people just don't want to share the road, and you have it like you can get on, and then you don't realize they're speeding up to make sure that you don't get on or whatever. Um, and just in general, it's just it's the most accident prone area, at least that's what I think. So really be cognizant of merging, you know what I'm saying? Just really be cognizant of people getting on and getting off. And if you're on the highway, like, what I like to do whenever I'm changing lanes is I don't just look at the mirror, my side view mirrors. Like, I also check behind me, like I turn my head and check to make sure nobody's there. But also, that gets uncomfortable when you have a passenger like in the back seat, normally in the back to your right. So when you turn to your right, then it's like this moment of, you know what I mean, like. And then sometimes people are sitting in the area and they have really big hair, so their head's in the way and their hair's in the way. Pay attention to that too, like ahead of time. Like whenever you see somebody getting in, they have like dreads and their hair's all big, and they're real tall. They just tell them before you even start the car, before you even start driving, tell them to move behind you. Move out the way, just because, you know what I'm saying, like you don't want to get there and then you finally realize, oh, I can't see. Um, Pay attention to that. Whenever somebody first gets in the car, turn your head and look and see if you can look out that back window. see if you could check your blind spot with them sitting there. The other thing is, when you're changing lanes in the highway, don't just rely on your side view mirror. Like, make sure you use your rear view mirror. Turn it to the right. Like, if you're going to the right and you're about to get exit off, turn it to the right so that you can see in your blind spot from your rear view mirror and your side view mirror. You want to be able to check, turn your head and look. You want to check your side view, and you want to be able to check your rear view mirror. You don't have to have your rear view mirror. I don't know why I can't say that. I think it's because I'm leaning back and there's a lot of pressure on my throat. But on your rear view mirror, you don't want to just have it, pointed so you could just see through the back window. Like, use it. It's an extra mirror. Turn your mirror to make sure you can check your blind spots. If you know you're going to be getting over pretty soon, turn it early, and you'll be able to see if anybody's in your blind spot. Also, don't just you can't have lazy habits when you're driving for Uber. Don't have the lazy habit of, oh, I'm just gonna signal and get over at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Make sure that you signal and give it a few seconds and then get over. I don't care how much traffic it is, unless it's like dire situation where you really need to get over and you know for sure that you have it. Because at the end of the day, they're speeders, you know what I mean? And a lot of people don't realize that there's speeders on the road. Like, everybody knows they're speeders, but nobody really knows that they're speeders until they're in an accident with them or they're getting cut off from behind by them. So if there's somebody, just in case somebody's speeding, you want to give people a good enough warning, you know what I mean? And that brings me to my next point. When you're driving and you're getting over on your right side, again, you want to use that rear view mirror, because you want to make sure that there's nobody on your right side, like behind you. Like, a lot of people, they just check that lane and then they get over. Don't do that. You want to make sure that there's nobody behind them into their right side who's speeding in, who might try to come in and cut into that lane in front of them and crash into you as you're getting over. So I'm saying, behind you to your right, and behind the person, if there is a person behind you to your right, behind them to their right, that person could be a speeder, and he could be zipping in through lanes and all this type of stuff. And you want to make sure you pay attention to that too. Check for basically if there's space for people to cut in, you need to check that before you get over. Also, if there's a lane where you're about to get over and there's nobody there, and there's nobody coming in that lane, and you have the space to get over, right? But there's somebody who's parallel to you in the next lane over. Don't just get over. If only do that if you have to. Like, normally what I do is I speed up just a little bit and then I get over, or I'll slow down just a little bit and then I get over, just because you don't want to get over at the same time at that person, like, because you don't know what they're going to do. A lot of times, if they don't see anybody in the lane, sometimes they don't even signal, or they'll signal real short and just turn over, and next thing you know, you guys are crashing into each other because you guys are adjacent. And that's something that you need to do at all times. Like, if there's people parallel to you as you're driving, always try to get where you're not exactly parallel. And it could be you're changing multiple lanes, you know what I mean? Like, you change one lane, you go forward, and then you're about to change, and you're doing that all in like kind of one motion, all one after the other. Even if you have it, make sure that you're checking to see not only if there's people by you, but the parallel people, just to make sure that you don't get clipped from behind and stuff like that. And just finally, this is my final tip. There's people that hog the lane, you know what I mean? So as people are driving, like, expect that. Start expecting people not to let you over, even if you have it, you know what I mean? There's people that do that, and then say a lot of times they don't really have like balls, like how they try to act like they have, because a lot of times you can still get over on those people. There's space, and you can get over where there's like they try to stop you from getting over, right? And you get over, and you're almost bumper to bumper with them, like in at 80 miles an hour. A lot of times they'll freak out before you do. You know what I mean? Even though they were trying to act all dominant and act like they have all the balls in the world, but they really don't have balls like that, most of them. But that's besides the point. The point is that just assume that people are gonna drive like I'm gonna keep all the lanes to myself, and that's just how people are gonna drive, and that will give you like a special, not a special, but an extra step on people. And if you get to this point where you know what I'm saying, like you'll reach a point where like driving is like chess. It'll feel like chess. Like if you ever played the game, like you'll feel like the same parts of your brain are working now, because like in chess you have to think like 3 moves ahead, and that's what you want to do when you're on the road. So basically, play chess out here. That's all I gotta say. And share the video, like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe.